9 Hidden Signs She's Not Loyal. The Stoic Truth About Women. Part 2. Old Stoic Wisdom. Have you ever sensed something isn't quite right? Even though everything on the surface appears normal? You're with her, but there's that subtle, almost imperceptible feeling telling you she's not truly here with you. It's not paranoia, it's your intuition picking up on things beneath the surface. That gut feeling, that quiet voice, is trying to warn you. In today's video, we'll explore 9 hidden signs that may reveal her lack of loyalty, not just in a physical sense, but emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. We'll examine these signs through the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor who had a profound understanding of human nature, insights that resonate even today. If you're done with confusion, mixed messages, and emotional manipulation, this video could be the clarity you've been desperately seeking. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit like. Here, we don't chase drama. We pursue truth through the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Stick around until the end, and you'll gain the clarity that's been just out of reach. On seeing through her soul. Let's build some context first. From a Stoic perspective, what would Marcus Aurelius advise? He once wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." That wasn't just a passing statement. It was his entire way of viewing the world. Now, picture yourself applying that same clarity-seeking mindset to your relationship. What if you could see her not with a rose-tinted view of hope, but through the raw, unflinching lens of Stoic wisdom? Clear, uncompromising, relentless in its pursuit of truth. Most people enter relationships driven by hope, not clarity. They see what they want to see and ignore the warning signs because they crave comfort. But here's the thing. Hope is not a strategy. Marcus would say, don't argue about what a good person should be. Just be one. And in this case, don't waste your time guessing if she's loyal. Learn to recognize the signs, face the truth, and confront what's right in front of you. Because unless she's withholding vulnerability, it's all there, plain as day. Now, close your eyes and think back. Remember the first time you looked at her and thought, she might be different. Not just attractive, not just fun, but safe. Safe enough to finally let your guard down, to be vulnerable. Maybe it was lying next to her in the dark, her head resting on your chest, the world quiet for the first time in years. Or maybe it was one of those late-night conversations where you didn't even realize your walls were coming down. You shared things you had hidden deep inside, fears, dreams, failures, the scar on your soul that's never fully healed. And for a moment, she was there, listening, understanding, or so you thought. But let's be real. Did she ever open up to you the way you did for her? Sure, she might have shared a few surface-level details. Her job, her friends, maybe even stories about her ex. But did she ever give you full access to her emotional world? Did she cry in front of you without rushing to wipe away the tears? Did she trust you enough to show the parts of her that weren't perfectly curated for public consumption? Or was it just you, peeling back layer after layer of yourself, while she kept hers locked away, untouched, hidden? This is the sign. The first hidden sign that she's not loyal, not just physically, but emotionally. Loyalty begins in the soul, long before it ever manifests in the body. When a woman withholds vulnerability, she's not just protecting herself from pain, she's protecting herself from connection. And without that connection, there can be no real commitment. Marcus Aurelius once said, "A man should be upright, not kept upright." In love, this means you can't be the only one carrying the weight of the relationship. Your honesty, your vulnerability, your effort, it has to be mutual. So let me ask you this. How many times have you bared your soul to her, shared something deep and personal, only for her to change the subject, give you a half-hearted smile, and then bury herself in her phone? How many nights have you laid there next to her, feeling more alone than ever? That's not just disconnection. That's a warning sign. A woman who truly loves you wants to be seen. She doesn't just want to know your heart, she wants to give you hers in return. But when she refuses to do so, you start to feel it. That quiet ache inside. You're diving deep, laying yourself bare, while she's content to stay safely on the surface, never truly vulnerable. Does this sound familiar? Does it feel personal? If so, it's because this is your story, and I'm telling you right now, don't ignore it. Withholding vulnerability isn't just a personality quirk, it's a defense mechanism. It's a mask, a sign that she's not fully invested. And if she's not fully invested, why are you? Why are you giving her everything when she can't give you the same? Hold tight, because this is only the beginning. There are 10 more signs ahead. And by the time you're done here, you won't just know if she's loyal, you'll know if she ever truly was. Remember, as Seneca wisely put it, a good character alone is not enough. It is the wisdom to choose the right one. Don't let yourself be deceived by appearances. Recognize the signs. 2. Her words are different from her patterns. Have you ever been told you were loved, but still felt completely alone? You hear her say it, "I love you." She tells you she's loyal, that she's all in, that you're her world, but something deep down doesn't sit right. You can't explain it, but the math just doesn't add up. She says she misses you, but she rarely makes time to see you. She says you're the only one, but she's always hiding her phone, turning it face down when you're together. She says you can talk to her about anything, but when you do, she tunes out or turns it around on you. Let me ask you this, and be honest with yourself. When did her actions stop matching her words? Think back to the beginning. In the early days, everything she said felt real. And maybe it was. She'd text you good morning before you opened your eyes. She'd ask how your day was going without you needing to say a word. She'd show up for you physically, emotionally, energetically. But somewhere along the way, the words stayed and the actions faded. And that's where the confusion begins, because love isn't just what someone says, it's what they consistently do. And when her patterns no longer align with her promises, that's a sign, a dangerous one. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts." But in relationships, the soul becomes dyed with the truth of your patterns, not your promises. Anyone can say the right things, but patterns don't lie. Let me ask you something real. How many times has she told you, "I'm just tired," or "I've been busy," when you asked why she's been distant? How many nights have you waited for a call only to end up falling asleep with your phone still in your hand? It's not about being clingy. It's about needing clarity and feeling like you're being fed crumbs instead of commitment. And that's the story most men don't tell. We want to believe her. We choose to believe her because love makes us hopeful. But Stoicism teaches us to be honest with what we see. Marcus would say, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change." Apply that to your heart. If the facts don't support her words, stop clinging to the fantasy. A woman who's loyal doesn't just tell you. You feel it in her patterns. You don't have to guess. You don't have to wonder. Because when someone is truly in it with you, their consistency becomes your peace. So here's the truth. If you're always left trying to reconcile what she says with how she acts, that's not love. That's confusion dressed up in pretty sentences, and you deserve better. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share in the next signs will either set you free or finally confirm what you've quietly known all along. Your plan B when you used to be plan A. Do you remember what it felt like to be her priority? Not just someone she spent time with, but someone she couldn't wait to see. Someone she'd move mountains for, rearrange her schedule, cancel plans, stay up late just to talk to. You weren't just part of her life. You were her life. Think back. There was a time when your phone would light up with her name, and you'd feel that flutter in your chest. She'd text you first. She'd ask if you'd eaten, if you got home safe, how your day was. She'd get excited to make plans, not find reasons to avoid them. Back then, you were plan A. You were her first thought in the morning and her last before she fell asleep. You were the one she looked at like you were the answer to a question she hadn't even asked yet. But somewhere along the line, you stopped being the priority and started being the backup. Now she hits you up when she's bored. She responds to your messages late, if at all. She makes vague promises to see you sometime next week, but somehow always finds time for other people. You're no longer the one she drops everything for. You're the one she fits in when it's convenient. And the worst part, she still says you matter. She still gives you just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to feel secure. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." But in love, we often ignore what's right. We cling to what's familiar, not what's true. So let me ask you this. When did her attention start to feel like a favor instead of a joy? When did your presence become an option, not a priority? And don't lie to yourself, because deep down you feel it. That ache, that quiet humiliation of knowing you're always available for someone who's only sometimes available for you. This isn't about being needy. It's about being respected. It's about being with someone who makes you feel chosen, not just tolerated. When a woman is loyal, she doesn't just say she wants you. She shows it with her time, her energy, her effort. She prioritizes you not because she has to, but because she wants to, because you matter to her. If you're constantly being rescheduled, postponed, or placed behind everything else in her life, that's not love. That's emotional breadcrumbing. You are not plan B. You never were. You just started believing it because you loved her too much to see the shift. But love without loyalty? That's just a beautiful lie. Stay with me, because the next sign might hit even harder. And by the end of this video, you'll finally have the clarity to stop settling for being someone's second choice when you were always meant to be someone's only choice. If you're tired of being second best, it's time to face the truth. Loyalty is shown, not just spoken. If you've been caught in the cycle of empty promises, drop a comment below. I choose myself first. Like this video, subscribe for more unshakable wisdom, and remember, actions never lie. 3. She keeps you a secret. It's an unsettling feeling when you're in a relationship that seems to exist solely behind closed doors. The intimacy you share is real. Laughter, holding hands, whispered secrets late into the night, moments that feel like they belong only to the two of you. Yet, the moment you step into the world outside of those closed doors, it's as though you vanish. Your name, your love, your very presence seems erased from the public picture. It can feel like you're walking around in the shadows, invisible to everyone except her. If this resonates with you, know that you're not imagining things, and you're certainly not alone. Now, take a step back and remember the early days of your relationship. Everything was new and exciting. You talked for hours, got lost in each other's energy, and made plans for the future. There was an undeniable connection between you two, one that felt both thrilling and secure. You could feel it in the air. She felt it too, or at least that's what she told you. There were no barriers. You made each other feel seen, heard, and valued. There was promise, possibility, and above all, transparency. But now, months, maybe even years have passed, and yet you're still just as invisible as you were when you first started. There's no trace of your relationship online. She doesn't post about you, doesn't mention you to her friends, and certainly doesn't bring you around her family. You're a ghost in her world, nothing more than a passing mention or a fleeting thought when no one else is around. And when she explains it, she tells you it's because she's a private person. She insists she doesn't like to share her personal life online. She claims she's not ready for others to know about your connection, but deep down you know that what you're dealing with isn't privacy, it's secrecy. You're not just in a private relationship, you're in a hidden one, and that's an entirely different beast. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect." So why then do you continue to break your own heart by remaining in someone else's shadow, allowing her to hide the most precious part of your life Why do you keep yourself tethered to someone who isn't willing to stand beside you in the light of day? When was the last time she proudly introduced you as her partner in front of anyone? When did she openly call you hers, without hesitation or shame? If you're struggling to recall such a moment, that's a clear sign that something is terribly wrong. Here's the truth. A woman who is loyal to you, a woman who loves you with every part of her being, wants the world to know. She isn't trying to gain attention or validation. She's simply proud of you. She wants others to see what she sees. The man she has chosen to stand beside, the person she has chosen to share her life with. This is not a matter of vanity. It's about the transparency that comes with true love and commitment. A woman who keeps you hidden from the world is not simply being shy or private. What's really happening is that she's emotionally distancing herself from you. It's as though she's keeping one foot in your world and the other firmly planted in the world of the single life, hesitant to fully commit to you or the relationship. And let me be as blunt as I can. You were never meant to be someone's hidden secret, their guilty pleasure, or their momentary indulgence. You were meant to be someone's proud choice, someone who stands beside her, and not in the shadows. You were meant to be someone's real partner, not someone to be swept away when it's convenient or when the spotlight is off. Love, real love, should never be something you hide. If you find yourself constantly relegated to the background of someone's life while they continue to bask in the spotlight without you, it's time to ask yourself the tough question. Is she truly loyal to you, or is she just enjoying the comfort of keeping her options open? Don't fool yourself. Love that is kept in the dark for too long doesn't just stay hidden, it rots. It loses its strength and its ability to grow. It becomes fragile, decayed, and weak. In every relationship, there comes a point when you have to confront the truth, no matter how painful it may be. The truth is not your enemy. The truth will free you. It will lift the weight off your chest and allow you to see things as they truly are, not as you wish them to be. Don't let fear or doubt keep you in a relationship that is holding you back, hiding you from the world and holding you hostage to a false sense of hope. The truth, though it may cut deep, is the only way forward, and trust me, it will set your heart free. Stick with me, because there's more to come. The next sign will hit even harder, but if you've made it this far, you've already shown you're ready for the truth. If this resonates with you, don't stay in the shadows. Comment below, and share with someone who needs to hear this. Don't forget to subscribe for more eye-opening truths. Comment to remember. True love never hides. 4. She's emotionally available only when it benefits her? Have you ever found yourself questioning the emotional availability of someone you love, wondering if their warmth only appears when it's convenient for them? You know the feeling. One moment she's distant, detached, even cold, and then, just when she needs something, attention, affection, or validation, she softens and draws you in, only to retreat again once she's gotten what she needs. This pattern might feel familiar, and it's not uncommon, but it can be one of the most insidious and painful signs of emotional disloyalty. It often goes unnoticed because it's wrapped in the guise of affection, but the truth is that it's emotional self-interest, not love. Let's reflect for a moment. Think back to when you were going through a difficult time. Perhaps you were grieving a loss, struggling at work, or simply emotionally drained. You reached out to her, hoping she'd offer some comfort or hold space for your feelings, but instead, she barely acknowledged your pain. She might have said, "I don't know what to say," and then quickly changed the topic, leaving you feeling like an emotional burden simply for wanting to connect. It hurts because it's in those moments that you realize how alone you really are. Now contrast that with the times when she's going through her own struggles, a rough day at work, a falling out with a friend, or a bout of loneliness. Suddenly, she's all over you, seeking your time, energy, and support. You give it willingly, because that's who you are, the kind of man who shows up for the people he cares about. But here's the question. Have you ever noticed that her emotional availability only surfaces when it benefits her? That's not love. That's emotional self-service, a one-sided transaction where you're giving but never receiving in return. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. But real love isn't about one person getting all the emotional benefit while the other is left to shoulder the weight. It's not about emotional labor being one-sided. True loyalty and love are mutual, consistent, balanced, and supportive on both sides. If she's only available when she needs something from you, but disappears when you're the one needing support, then she's not showing loyalty. She's manipulating you under the guise of affection. And here's the hardest pill to swallow. Sometimes, the most dangerous form of emotional unavailability is the one that masquerades as love. She'll cry on your shoulder, whisper that you're the only one who understands her, and make you feel like the center of her world, until the tables are turned. Then, when you need her most, she's nowhere to be found. What you're experiencing isn't a partnership, it's a transaction. You're being used as a temporary shelter for her emotional storms, but when it's your turn to weather the storm, she's nowhere to be found. How many times have you given everything you had, poured from your own cup until it was empty, only to find that she never replenished it? How many times have you stood strong for her, but had to keep it together for yourself too? That's not how love is meant to be. Loyalty and love aren't on again, off again, depending on who needs something. They aren't seasonal. If she can only be vulnerable when it serves her, then she's not truly invested in you. You deserve more than being her emotional safety net, only to be left high and dry when the roles reverse. It's time to realize that emotional availability and true loyalty should be reciprocal. And once you see this truth, once it clicks, you'll never let anyone treat your heart like a convenience again. Keep your eyes open, your standards high, and remember that you deserve love that's unwavering, mutual, and unconditional. 5. Her future plans rarely include you. Have you ever stopped to consider how often her future plans include you? When was the last time she spoke about the years to come, and you were an integral part of that vision? Pay attention to the subtle clues. She might tell you about her dream job, the places she wants to move to, the solo trips she plans to take, or the goals she's chasing. But where do you fit into the bigger picture? Do you feel like her equal? Or are you merely a passenger on a ride she never even bothered to invite you on? Reflect back to the early days when the two of you shared your dreams for the future, living together, traveling, maybe even starting a family. There was excitement, a certainty that you were part of her vision. It felt real, right? But somewhere along the way, the nature of those conversations shifted. Perhaps they vanished completely. Now, when the subject of the future arises, she speaks of I and me, not we. Her goals are hers alone, and her timelines revolve around her, leaving you as a quiet, invisible figure in the background of her life. Here's where it gets painful. When you bring up the future, her response is evasive. Let's not plan too far ahead, she says. Let's just enjoy the moment. That sounds harmless at first, even sweet. But when it turns into a constant refrain, you start to realize the truth. Love is about more than just living in the moment. It's about sharing a future. It's about commitment, not avoidance. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Flip that around. Stop wasting your time questioning what real love should look like. Watch what it includes. True love doesn't leave you out of the plans. You're not a side note or a distant possibility. You're a certainty, part of the blueprint. And if you've been shrinking your own aspirations just to fit into her world, if you've been waiting for the day she finally includes you in her vision, understand this. That's not love. That's limbo. And limbo is the slowest way to lose yourself. When someone truly loves you, their future intertwines with yours. It doesn't happen because they have to. It happens because they want to. A woman who sees you as her forever partner doesn't talk about the future in vague terms. She speaks of it with you by her side. If she shares her vision of the next city she wants to live in, the new life she wants to build, or the family she might one day have, and you're conspicuously absent from every picture, don't deceive yourself. This isn't loyalty. It's emotional distancing, disguised as independence. You deserve someone who doesn't just dream beside you, but who builds the future with you. Someone who includes you in the big picture, plans for tomorrow, and makes damn sure you're there in it. Love without a shared vision is like constructing a house without a plan. It may look good at first, but sooner or later, it will collapse. The truth is clear. If she doesn't see you in her future, it's time to stop waiting. You deserve better. Stick with me, because what's coming next will lay bare even deeper truths. If you've ever questioned whether you're being loved fully, prepare yourself to find the answers you need. If you find today's content useful to you, don't forget to share your feelings and lessons with us. Or simply comment, "Very cool." It's a great encouragement for our channel makers. Thank you very much. 6. Her words say, "I love you," but her actions whisper, "I don't." Have you ever heard her say, "I love you," and yet, despite the words, you couldn't shake the feeling of utter loneliness? If you've been there, you've experienced one of the most heart-wrenching and confusing forms of love. A love that, despite its promises, feels hollow. Take a moment and think back to when she first said those 3 words. Do you remember the setting? Perhaps you were curled up together on the couch, her head resting on your chest, or maybe you were driving with her hand resting comfortably in yours, the music softly playing in the background. And when she said, "I love you," it felt like your entire world clicked into place. It was pure, it was sincere, and your heart nearly burst with happiness, didn't it? In that moment, everything made sense, her words, your emotions, the future ahead. But somewhere along the way, something changed. The words "I love you" still come from her lips, but the energy behind them is different. They feel more like a reflex than a sincere declaration. When she's upset, when she's trying to ease her guilt after an argument, or when she's in the mood to keep things calm, she says it, but it doesn't feel the same. It's as if the words are just a shield, a way to stop you from questioning the growing distance between the two of you. Here's the brutal truth. Those 3 little words, no matter how beautifully they're spoken, are meaningless when her actions contradict them. She says she loves you, but she's always too busy for you. She says she loves you, but she seems to forget the things that matter most to you. She says she loves you, but she's blind to your pain, or worse, she doesn't seem to care. And despite this, you keep holding on. Why? Because you remember the woman who didn't just say, "I love you," but showed it through her actions, who texted you "good morning," who noticed the little changes in your mood, who fought to make you feel valued. You're still holding on to the memory of her love, but now you're clinging to words while her actions slowly pull away, little by little, with each passing day. As the great Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts." So I ask you, what colour is your love now? If her love only exists in her words, but never in her actions, in the way she chooses to show up for you, what you have is an illusion, a pretty facade dressed up as affection. Words are cheap when they're spoken by someone who doesn't back them up with tangible, consistent actions. The real measure of love isn't in what she says, but in how she lives it, how she listens, how she respects you, how she chooses to be present with you, not just when it's convenient, but every single day. So let me ask you another question. When was the last time you truly felt loved by her, not because she said the words, but because she showed you? When did you last feel her loyalty, her patience, her attention, her genuine presence? If you find yourself struggling to recall that moment, the reality is clear. Words are nice, but they are nothing without the weight of action to back them up. A loyal woman doesn't have to convince you she loves you. You feel it every day in the way she treats you, in the way she shows up for you when you need her the most, in the way she puts effort into understanding you, and in the way she prioritizes your relationship. Her love isn't something she has to remind you of. You feel it constantly in the little things that matter. So, if her lips are constantly saying, "I love you," but her actions leave you questioning it, then perhaps she's in love with the idea of you, rather than with the reality of who you are. Stay with me, because the next sign might just be the one that breaks this illusion wide open. When that moment happens, You'll stop chasing after hollow words and start demanding actions that align with your worth. 7. She's quick to blame you, slow to own her mistakes. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where it feels like every issue, no matter how small, is always your fault, even when, deep down, you know that's not the case? Think back to that one argument, one that started out harmless. Maybe you were just expressing a feeling, sharing something that bothered you, something personal, something honest. But as soon as you spoke up, the narrative shifted. Suddenly, you were the problem. You were told that you were too sensitive, that you were overreacting, or worse, that you were just causing unnecessary drama. What was supposed to be a moment of vulnerability, of sharing your hurt, became an internal battle of guilt. The dynamic changed in an instant, and now you're questioning yourself, wondering, am I really the one in the wrong? Am I always the one messing things up? Is love supposed to feel like this? Like walking on eggshells? It's subtle, this shift. It's almost imperceptible at first, but over time it wears you down. And if it keeps happening, you'll find yourself doubting everything, your feelings, your worth, even your place in the relationship. Now, let's pause for a moment. Think back. Have you ever been in a situation where the person you're with rarely, if ever, says, "I'm sorry," unless they absolutely have to? It's a game of denial. She'll argue for hours, twist your words, justify her behaviour, and defend everything from her tone to her silence. But when the time comes to take responsibility, she pulls away. Emotionally, physically, or both. She distances herself, leaving you to pick up the pieces. And in that silence, you might start to tell yourself, well, she's been through a lot. She doesn't like confrontation. She just needs time to cool down. Sure, people have their pasts, and we all carry scars. But here's the hard truth that's easy to overlook. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, taught that if someone does wrong, it is because they are mistaken about what is right. That means, as difficult as it may be, you have to see things clearly for what they are, not clouded by excuses or emotional immaturity. In a truly loyal relationship, both partners are willing to put their pride aside for the sake of the bond they share. A woman who is genuinely invested in you, in the relationship, will own her mistakes without you having to beg for it. She'll apologize, not as a reluctant duty, but because she values the connection more than she values being right. A loyal woman understands that love isn't about who wins the argument. It's about who wins together. It's about supporting each other and protecting the relationship above all. So let me ask you a tough question. When was the last time she took full responsibility for something without turning it around on you, without finding a way to make you the bad guy, or without offering excuses for her behaviour? When was the last time she looked you in the eyes, recognized your pain and said, "That was my fault, I'm sorry"? If you can't remember, that's a serious red flag. Because loyalty isn't just about fidelity, it's about emotional maturity. And when someone refuses to take accountability for their actions, it's not just a sign of immaturity, it's a message that your feelings and your needs don't matter as much as their ego. That kind of relationship isn't sustainable. It's not safe. Over time, it will slowly chip away at your sense of self, turning you into someone you never intended to become. A person who apologizes just to keep the peace, not because they did something wrong. If she's always quick to blame you but never takes a long, hard look at herself, then you're not in a partnership. You're stuck in a game of blame where no one wins. And that's not love. That's a slow burn, eroding your confidence and your dignity, all while putting on a mask of sweetness to hide the damage being done. Love, real love, isn't about who can avoid responsibility or dodge tough conversations. It's about both partners stepping up, owning their actions, and working together to keep the relationship strong. So if you're constantly in the role of the one who has to apologize, it's time to reevaluate what you're really getting out of the relationship. And remember, loyalty is more than just not cheating. It's about emotional honesty, maturity, and the courage to own up to your faults. 8. She avoids difficult conversations. How many times have you tried to have a serious conversation with her, only to be met with silence, deflection, or even frustration? You know what I mean? Those moments when you try to open up about something important, something that's been sitting heavy on your heart. You approach her with honesty, with vulnerability, maybe even with a little bit of fear. Because relationships are built on the foundation of communication, right? But instead of a calm, mature discussion, you get a change of subject, a quick walk out, or worse, an argument that somehow twists everything back on you. So now you're stuck feeling misunderstood, feeling like you're always the one who needs to adjust, but never get the chance to voice your feelings. And every time you bring something up that's been bothering you, she either shuts down or turns the conversation into a battle of wills. You end up feeling like you're begging for attention, for understanding, for connection. You might even start questioning yourself. Is this all in my head? Is this really a problem, or am I just overreacting? But let me tell you this. Avoiding hard conversations doesn't make the problem disappear. It only builds a wall between you. Now think back to when things were fresh between you two. The days when you'd sit up late talking about everything and nothing. Your dreams, her dreams, the fears you shared, the little quirks about each other that made you laugh, the deep talks about your past, your future, the what-ifs of life. It felt easy, didn't it? Talking about the tough stuff, knowing that even if you didn't agree on everything, you could still hear each other, still understand one another. But somewhere along the way, that disappeared. Now every time you need to be real, every time you want to confront something difficult, suddenly it feels like you're facing a wall, and it doesn't stop there. When she avoids hard conversations, she's not just avoiding conflict, she's avoiding connection. She's avoiding the very thing that builds a strong relationship, emotional intimacy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." But here's the kicker. If every obstacle in your relationship gets swept under the rug, nothing ever truly gets solved. And in the end, those unresolved issues become the very thing that tears you apart. Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you felt truly heard by her? Not just listened to, not just acknowledged, but truly heard. When was the last time you brought something important to the table and she responded with the same level of respect, care, and commitment that you showed her? If you can't remember, if the silence is louder than the conversation itself, then you're being kept in the dark. And here's the sad part. She's not helping you. She's hurting you. Because love isn't about avoiding the tough stuff. It's about facing it together. And if she's not willing to engage in those tough conversations, then maybe she's not ready to truly build with you. She's only willing to show up for the easy stuff, the fluff. But what happens when life throws a curveball? What happens when it's no longer about fun dates, but real talk about your future, your challenges, your dreams? That's when you'll see if she's really ready to be your partner, or if she's just keeping you in a comfort zone where nothing ever changes. Stay with me, because the next sign may finally help you understand if you're building a future or just wasting your time. 9. She's always keeping secrets or hiding things from you. Have you ever felt like something was off, but when you asked her about it, she brushed it off, avoided the question, or completely shut you down? Let me take you back to that feeling, that gut instinct you've had in your relationship when you knew something wasn't right, but you couldn't quite put your finger on it. Maybe it was the little things. She'd act distant or distracted, but when you asked what was going on, she'd say, "Nothing. I'm fine." You've been there, right? You've looked her in the eyes, trying to read her, because there's something about her energy that tells you this isn't normal. But every time you ask, she insists everything is fine. You're left wondering if your suspicions are just a result of your own insecurities, or if something deeper is going on that she's not telling you about. And then maybe you start to notice patterns. She's on her phone more often, but when you come around, she hides the screen or quickly switches apps. She's talking to people you've never heard of. She's doing things without telling you. But when you ask, it's nothing important. And every time the pieces don't quite fit, something's off. But every time you try to connect the dots, she brushes you off or turns the tables, making you feel guilty for even asking. I want you to think about this for a second. Have you ever caught her in a lie? Not a big one, but one of those small, almost invisible lies that leave you questioning her trustworthiness. It's not always the big secrets that are most damaging. It's the constant little things that she hides from you, the ones she thinks don't matter, the conversations she has behind your back, the time she spends on her own, which she can't quite explain, even though she assures you that it's nothing. At first, it's easy to write it off. Maybe she's just shy. Maybe she's trying to protect you from something that's not a big deal. Or maybe, just maybe, you're overthinking things. But what happens when that feeling never goes away? Every time she's distant, every time she shuts down, every time she hides something from you, you begin to feel like you're being kept in the dark. Slowly, you realize that this isn't about her protecting you. It's about her not trusting you enough to be fully open. Marcus Aurelius said, "What is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bees." In other words, if something's wrong in the relationship, if trust is broken, it's going to poison the whole connection. Do you remember the first time you trusted someone fully? That feeling of letting down your guard, being open with them about everything, your fears, your dreams, your deepest secrets. That's what loyalty feels like. So that's what honesty feels like. It's a level of connection that no secrets or lies can break. But when she's always hiding something from you, no matter how small it seems, that's not a relationship built on trust. That's a relationship built on walls. And those walls get higher, thicker, and harder to tear down the longer they're in place. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you were just a part of her story, but not the full truth of it? When was the last time you were completely trusted? Not just trusted to love her, but trusted with her true self, without filters, without secrets, without lies. If you can't remember, if that trust feels like something lost in the distance, then it's time to ask yourself, are you really a partner in this relationship? Or are you just someone she's keeping in the dark? Stay with me. The next sign will help you see the relationship with clearer eyes and give you the power to decide what comes next. Why do we stay when we know the truth? Because deep down, we're all terrified of loss. We confuse love with possession, loyalty with longevity. But here's a Stoic truth. It is better to walk alone in truth than together in a lie. When a woman is no longer loyal, she doesn't have to say it out loud. Her actions speak. Her energy shifts. Her silence screams, and your soul. It feels it all. That's why Marcus wrote every morning to himself, to stay grounded, to remember what matters. And what matters is this. You are not a victim. You are not powerless. You are not blind. You are a man capable of seeing clearly, acting justly, and letting go gracefully. What to do next? The Stoic response. 1. Don't react emotionally. Respond with stillness. 2. Observe more. Speak less. Let her actions reveal everything. 3. Seek solitude. That's where clarity lives. 4. Do not chase. Let her go if her loyalty has already left. 5. Focus on yourself. Build virtue, discipline, and self-respect. Marcus would say, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. You can't force loyalty. You can only recognize when it's no longer there and choose your next step with dignity. So here's the final truth. If she's not loyal, the worst thing you can do is wait for proof. Stoicism teaches us that the signs are enough, and our job isn't to change people, it's to change our response to them. You deserve someone who chooses you fully, not someone who keeps you around because it's convenient. And with that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.